Today on the Shana Lashay Show, we have Miss Joy Farley. Boom. Obviously joy, like powerhouse, joy, truly bringing the joy, the light, real estate, friend collector, as I know it's always been a part of who you are.
Yes.
But let's dive into this new mural. Okay.
Can we talk about
Can we talk about it? You have a mural of your freaking beautiful face, and whatever building ever said no should just have this plastered on all buildings in Uptown. But take me through there. Was there a process?
Oh my gosh, it was such a random request and the easiest yes. My friend Sydney Duarte and her fiance Treasy, picked up the phone on a Saturday and said, "Hey, Joy, I got this wild idea. We've got a mutual friend, Travis, who's going to be in town from Australia for a few days. Trav and Treasy used to paint all the time, and he's going to be in town. And they're like, hey, we want to paint a mural and we would love to use your face. What are your thoughts?" And I said, okay, like sure. What does that look like? And so I went over to their place. We took the photos like that Sunday. So like get a call on Saturday, take the photos on Sunday. They started painting on Monday and it was done on Tuesday. So when I tell you, like, it was such like
they painted that whole
from the time I was asked to, hey, are you open to this, to it being complete it was like 48 hours. Wild. So when you're working with professionals who are like, oh, this is easy work. But it was just wild to see the process. You talk about dealing with creatives. I think we all have a creative mind. God's given us so many gifts and talents, but when you see people who are truly skilled in their work and that this is easy work, and to think that all that is spray paint. I'm like, have you ever tried to spray paint? Like
baby,
one
the
big
drips,
blob. Yeah, it's like, this will never be for me.
Right.
But someone told me, they said, Joy, they captured your essence. Like there's no denying that you drive past that mural. It's on the wall of Sip City. So you haven't been to Sip City. It's in Plaza Midwood, which is so funny because I grew up off of Central Avenue. And this place is literally like catty cornered where my parents live.
Wow.
So it's kind of like a new landmark. But a full circle moment of saying, hey, like the street that raised me, that this gets to be a piece of art that adds a whole lot of color to that whole, like a panoramic view right there.
Right.
And to say that choose joy as resistance. We live in such crazy times right now, and to be in a space where you're like, no, joy is a choice. And, I hope that I live up to my namesake. But what an honor.
Yeah, I was going to ask why that message, because, it's not just your beautiful face and this whole flower and colorful vibe, but the message, choose joy as resistance. Did that come from you? Is that something that you've just kind of been living by? Why that message?
Well, it's funny because as we were taking these photos at Sydney and Treasy's place, I just randomly mentioned, they're like, oh, we're trying to find a quote, to put on the wall that kind of corresponds with everything. And I just randomly said, I don't know, joy is resistance. And, Sydney and I were going back and forth. It's like, no, like joy is a choice. So we have so many emotions that we can choose on a daily basis, based on the things that we see around us. I think for a long time, people were searching for happiness. Hey, I want to be happy. I want this. But you see it in marketing messages. You see it all over the place that joy it's deeper than that. And it's something that we all possess on the inside that no one can take away. And so it's like when I choose joy over fear, over doubt, over chaos, over uncertainty, like all the things that we see around us, it'd be easy to say, hey, like, how can I be happy when I look at what's going on in the world right now? How can I be happy when I see so much devastation and destruction and chaos?
Right.
But it's like, oh my gosh, in spite of all of that, like I get to choose joy.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when we go the opposite way of what everyone else is doing, that's the resistance. So what a positive message to be able to spread.
Right.
In a time where I think that's what we need
the most. Yeah, it's realness, and part of joy, obviously, you as the name, this is a fruit of the spirit. Your name is a fruit of the spirit, and even the message of choosing joy against all the other things that we are attacked with on a daily basis. But what does it mean? Obviously, you walk around, you are a lighting star. We've connected since day one. I remember Charles was
Just like
like,
spirit
y'all are
animal.
tall, y'all are in real estate, y'all are just like spirit, just is like a light up the room. Take me to a moment, knowing that's a gift for us. Fruit of the Spirit is a gift that was given to us by the Spirit. Take me to a moment where choosing joy was hard.
Oh
And
gosh.
and because we know if we do what we're resisting, but we are still human and we
Right.
still have to take those times of figuring out how to get through our human emotions and knowing that you have to choose the higher ground.
Right.
And sometimes that's joy, sometimes that's walking away, sometimes
Right.
that's saying no.
Right.
But your name and the essence of what you shine is a part of the Spirit's fruit. So
Well, it's interesting. Like my mom made a post that I thought was probably the perfect example of what it looks like to choose joy. I mean, I can give you a bazillion examples of, I mean, being in real estate, you got to choose joy on a daily basis, things you can't control, all the things that are going on. And you're like, and I'm in the world of construction. So you're like, there's always something
oh
going on
baby,
in the background, and I'm like,
yes.
today's a character building day. I am choosing joy, but my mom made a post after the mural was done and she said, not many people might even know this story because it's, I guess you don't share all your business all the time, but there was a test when when my mom was pregnant with me, and it came back, the readings were low, and the doctor called her and said, "Hey, Felinda, the reading on this test came back low, which might indicate that your baby might have Down syndrome, and we're giving you the option if you want to terminate your pregnancy." And my mom said she had never been more just angry at that phone call, being like, no, me and my husband don't intend to kill any of our children.
Right.
So whatever the doctor's report is, like, I'm still pressing on, And she shared that story of being like, no, this is what it looked like from the very beginning before Joy was ever born, that the resistance of saying, hey, like, here's the easy way out. And just because this might look a little off, just giving you the option if you want to, go ahead and terminate your pregnancy at, this stage of the game. And my mom was like, absolutely not. Like, when we talk about people who've been fighting for you, like long before meet the version of joy that most people know. But saying, hey, like, she said, I chose joy. I chose you. Like, I would never in a million years. And it turns out, like, none of those things were absolutely true. And so I think before I even got here, like to have an advocate on my side to say, hey,
Yeah.
like I chose joy's resistance from the very beginning.
Right.
And that the world gets to, know and love the version of you that always has been there from, before you were ever here.
Right.
So I love that story when she tells it of, hey, like, we all go through things in life. We've all have, paths we can follow, or, what if I go this way? What if I go this way? Or what if I go with my heart and know exactly, we don't always get the answers up front. And sometimes choosing the hard road is the right road,
Right.
to follow.
Right.
But there's been so many choose joy moments, getting into this business. Like, I remember, starting this whole journey of real estate, having absolutely no idea. Like, my senior year of college was an absolute dumpster fire. Everything that I thought was, my life was going to look like absolute, just rip the rug out. And I get this random text message on my No-G network, like slider phone. A great family friend of ours was one of the owners of True Homes, and Dan was like, hey, like, I just picked up your graduation party off the kitchen, your invitation off the kitchen counter. Dawned on me that, our company's hiring. I think you'd be a great fit. Like, call me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I've never sold anything to anybody.
Right.
I know nothing about construction. My parents have never owned a home. Like, I'm the most unqualified. I was like, okay, well, I'm just rolling with faith. This is like the story of my entire life.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, okay, like, I'm open to a lot of different possibilities, get into this thing, and realize that, like, I got to get my real estate license. Like, failed that class, like, miserably the first time. No one tells you that getting in this business, you're like, I'm sorry, what? This is like reading Greek backwards. I remember coming home just devastated after that first go around, just being like, maybe this isn't for me. Like, and I was still in school mode. like fresh out of college. And in my mind, I'm like, well, I graduated with honors and I thought I was so smart. And, here's this whole, new path laid out for me that I have to have this for my job. And here I feel like the biggest failure. Like, do I pick myself back up?
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, you know what? Sometimes when you get knocked down, like it's almost, we'd be doing ourselves a disservice if we didn't get back up and fight again.
Every
Like
time.
I just had this resolve of, no, like nothing's been handed to me in life. Like I told Dan from the very beginning that I don't want you to hand me a job. Like I want to go through the process like everybody else. And little did I know, this was in 2012, the market's just barely trying to like make a comeback. I was in a bubble basically during '08 to 2012 in college. If you're in real estate at that point,
I
you're
was
like
the same years.
oh 07, like not
Yeah.
ideal.
Right.
So we laugh about being like the winds weren't like blowing
turbulence
in
was
your
a little-
face, but they weren't blowing, your sails anywhere super
Right.
fast.
Right.
But I just remember being like, like I was so clueless. But I think sometimes when we have this perspective of like, no, I'm going to give something a try and I'm going to give it like all that I have. And looking back after all these, this is 14 years later, being like, what if I didn't choose like getting back up or trying again? Like all the lives that we would not, or I wouldn't be able to have served like up until now. But like some of that is like, you know what? Like I was absolutely crushed in spirit, but to know that you can always get back up again, you can always make a different choice. And I think I heard a quote a long time ago that said like, well, who loses if we don't win? Like who are all the people that would be at a disadvantage if like we didn't get back up and if we didn't choose a different attitude or if we didn't choose a different path for ourselves when things got hard, like we don't quit. We're not quitters.
We're not quitters. And it doesn't matter like if it's hard now and you choose not to get up, it's still going to be hard by sitting there.
Exactly.
So you're going to sit there and
hard.
Right.
Choose hard.
You're going to wallow around and be stuck in the hard, or you're going to get up and let's fight and let's see where this next fight takes us.
Exactly.
Because either way, life is hard.
Life is hard.
know?
And I tell people, this is a business of active faith. Like people talk about like, yeah, joy is a fruit of the spirit, but like there is something about, I love that verse in James. It talks about, that's where my Instagram handle comes from, jump for pure joy. Like that verse in James says, consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds, because that's what produces perseverance in us so that we lack nothing, like keep getting back up. I think people don't realize that some things you just have to get through, it never makes sense when you're in it. I could probably say that all of us walked in here today saying like, we're all going through something.
Right.
And this resolve of like, oh, I'm going to get to the other side. I'm just waiting for time to catch up.
Right. Like
time will catch up.
I believe it. You know, these are for good intentions. I have God on my side. And even if it doesn't look like what I thought it was, he's always showing up. He's always showing out. And
I've survived 100% of my bad days. When you put that into perspective, I laugh sometimes because I'm like, after all these years, I never know where sales are coming from. I never know who's going to walk in the door. I never know, the seeds that you plant with intention and water over time, that when you feel like you end up in a all of a sudden season, it was never all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's like things grow in the dark.
Right.
And the things that nobody gets to see, the things that you're not talking about, the things that you're doing quietly, making moves. And then, when you end up with like, oh, overnight, like, wow, that's crazy.
Right.
So
overnight to you, but you wasn't there, honey.
What you didn't see was so many things happening behind the scenes. And so it just reminds me that we've got to just keep on putting one foot in front of the other. Like, even when we don't feel it, sometimes it's easy to get discouraged when you look at the facts in front of you. And I laugh sometimes because I'm like, my entire life has been a game of faith. Like, nothing in my life has ever added up on paper. And I'm always like, well, God, math never really adds up. I didn't major in math, but I know that
it ain't
some
girl
of these
math.
Things, the girl math would. There's no way that the things that I've been being afforded to do. Like, I put myself through college, like financially, but at the end of the day, I can look back and say, oh my gosh, the things that never were possibilities on paper that God provided for us. There's
Right.
7 kids in our family. Like
I was about to say, baby, because
on paper, we grew up under the poverty line. You know, people, meet our siblings and my parents and stuff now. And it's like, oh my God, who are all these amazing humans? Like NFL, the New York City Ballet, like just incredible. I mean, of course, like you have to have the talent to get there and to stay there. But it wasn't because my parents could write the check for private school for
right.
all of us or
Perseverance, a story for
any of that.
everyone.
It is it's the grace that it has and the really favor that just continues to follow each and every one of us. But it's like, yeah, you got to do the hard work. But at the same time, it's like the people that have come alongside all of us to say, hey, like, I see your gifts, I see your talents. And if the only thing that's standing in your way is like dollars and cents, like that can be solved for, So people will sit at my desk sometimes and be like, I don't know how this is going to work out. And I'm like, well, let's figure it out. There's so many different ways that I have seen just literally miracles happen, and sometimes it's just asking the right questions, having people in your corner who want to see you win, realize that not everybody wants to see you win.
Right.
But when you get to be that person, like there's been so many instances in my life where I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need a miracle. And then there's been other times in my life where I'm like, to get to be the miracle for somebody else has been really, really cool.
Right. And you're reminded every day, like, especially being in a business where the phone's ringing and like you cannot hear your name at this point and it not be something that's got a deeper for everyone else, right?
We're the chaos coordinators.
Hello. Yeah. I mean, when I got into real estate too in 2013, this is God's business and I'm just going to manage it the best that I can.
Yeah.
And, there's always like hurts and like low blow. And you've been in new construction, which is, I've worked new construction, but not nearly as long as you. It's more, that community and building those sales and getting those people is different than having, all these people driving them around. And then they go switch to brother Bob because he got his license yesterday.
Like 2 weeks ago.
And I'm like, that's a year and a half of my time. And now you're asking why you should be paying me.
Yeah.
And I remember like those moments, those low moments in this industry used to bother me. Even though I had, already declared this is God's business, I'm just going to manage it. It would still get to my human side because
like you're human.
You can do everything right.
Right.
You can show your value and invest, sweat equity, resources, finances. It don't matter.
Right.
If they're going to screw you over, they're going to screw you over. Right. And now I'm just like, okay.
Water off.
Thank you. I know I never want to do business with you again. This is such clarity.
Yeah.
Or, okay, this is a great partnership. Or, and just it's faith. Because culture has us that these numbers need to look like something, or this needs to be something for something to be moved or used. And when
or that you feel successful.
Oh, right.
And you're like, well, who defines what that looks like?
Right. Because when that's all stripped away, then what does that leave?
You're left with you.
Right. That's not the first thing I'm checking every morning.
Or you're like, well, I heard a quote that said, some people are so poor that all they have is money. And there's been time when you're like, well, I got too much a month at the end of my money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or you've got something else going on. You're like, I've just learned over the years, like when, honestly, I tell people often that when I was at the height of my career financially, I was most miserable. And it's like, well, what's the point of having a full bank account in a bankrupt life? I'll never go back to that. I think also growing up Baroque, you're like, well, I don't want to go back to that either.
I don't want.
How do we find a even happy balance?
Yeah, you would just get a little
too much success and not enough life.
Right.
If there is no balance, where you're like, I don't have time to sleep, to do anything. I'm tied to my desk, and you've got so many people that you're trying to be everything for, and then you realize that all you're doing is like waking up stressed out, going to work stressed out, coming back home, crashing and rinsing and repeating. And it's like, I didn't have time to do anything. It was
pouring
like,
from an empty cup.
Sorry, I can't do that. I'm working. Sorry, I can't come to your wedding. I'm working. Sorry, I can't be involved in, fill in the blank because you guessed it. I'll be working. I think there's a great happy balance between saying, hey, like, I want to work hard. I want to be, available. But at the same time, like, what are we working so hard for if we can't enjoy it?
And that's something that this industry, I think a lot of people don't realize, is the burnout is real. And obviously the power of leverage. And having to
Delegation.
paying people to go show properties because I have 3 kids. I have weekends that I also need. If I spent 17 of the last ones showing or going for everyone else,
Right.
she also wants to live, and
Right.
power of leverage. But the power of like the burnout is so real because you can get so caught up in trying because it's such a fast pace and you're taking that opportunity and then somebody else is interested
If
and
you're not available, then somebody else will.
is.
Yeah.
And then you look back and you're really like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
For what?
For
If I'm
what?
not enjoying what this is supposed to provide,
What am I doing? I literally have.
I think you have to have that wake up call.
Well, I think my wake up call was probably in 2015, 2016, when I woke up being like, I feel like I am in my mid to late 20s with waking up with chest pain. Like, I'm talking like, who cares how good my health insurance is if I literally feel like I'm going to like stroke out? Like, I'm talking like elephant on your chest, like every moment of the day just felt, ugh, It's like, okay, who cares if you're scaling and you're doing all these things? If you lose your health, that's the one thing you hope that you get back. People always ask me to this day, like, Joy, what are you training for? And I'm like, for today. I'm not training for an Ironman. I'm not training for a marathon. I'm not training for any of it. Like, I am training for today. Sometimes you literally have to callous your mind, especially when you're taking care of people at scale and their biggest investment. Like, people are looking at you like, hey, you're the girl for the job, right? And I think if we don't take care of us, like, we're shortcutting everybody else around us. Like, when I show up as the best version of me, because I've created my own energy, I like to call it sweating out the devil. Like, that's what I do first thing in the morning. Like, let me sweat out the devil, and then everyone gets my best, not my leftovers or what's left at the end of the tank. It's like when I show up with energy, with excitement, with positivity, then everyone around me gets to benefit. And the opposite is also true. It's like when I'm rolling out of bed and I'm behind and I'm, hustling and just trying to get out the door, and then you're just stumbling into your day with no intention, and then you're like, oh, you're automatically already feeling behind,
You're playing catch up all day.
You're playing catch up all day. So I find sometimes I'm just like, you know what, this is a great lesson for me, seeing the difference between all of those moments where I was just like holding on versus like, no, I'm going to create my best vibe, and then I get to share it with everybody else around me. Everyone benefits.
Yeah.
Everyone benefits. Like, you end up being a better mom, you end up being a better wife, you end up being a better,
you attract better.
I
mean, it's just as simple as that.
It's science.
It is facts.
An object in motion, I heard, stays in motion.
Yep.
And just like, I tell people often that, hey, you never seen like water that stays stagnant? It rots.
Right.
And that's with us. So it's like, I'm trying to keep my feet moving.
Trying to be some murky water, honey.
Trying to keep the feet moving.
Yeah.
We're not doing swamp water.
No, baby.
Here. No. That is not my ministry.
No.
So I think just learning those things about yourself, but it sometimes takes hitting the rock bottom when you're like, hey, this is what I thought like success, air quotes, looked like until it failed me, and was like, if this is what people are literally killing themselves over, like, take all the cards back. Like, I want my life back. I want peace. I want, of course, like, I keep my hands open for abundance, because I think there's enough to go around for all of us, to both like give and receive. But I think sometimes when we have that wake up call of being like, oh my gosh, how did I get here? Looking in the mirror and being like, and who is this?
Right.
How does she have my social security number? Right. Ain't no way.
Right. This is not it. We
didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
No.
What do you feel like people misunderstand about people like us that come into the rooms, knowing that we're carrying energy, knowing that we're here to spread light, and that just as easy we will divert to make sure that we maintain the right energy, walking into crowds?
I think a lot of people misunderstand the light that we bring is not to just be taken. I think we have a lot of, I don't know about you.
Leeches, baby. I call them leeches.
I'm the strong friend for a lot of people. Yeah. And I think I've also realized that one of those other gifts is capacity. It's almost like if you have pints and gallons, that's how I like to describe it. Like, I feel like I'm a gallon. Like, someone who's a pint can give me everything they pour in, and it's going to feel like a drop in the bucket, versus my capacity, if it's a gallon, I can literally like pour into a pint and you're overflowing, or people will pick up the phone and call and say, hey, like, it's not like, hey, do you have the capacity to like chit chat and let me tell you all my things? It's like, I got stuff going on too, So I think our capacity to hold more is on a whole different scale.
That's a beautiful
and
visual.
and it's not just capacity to like pour in. It's like, it's the capacity to hold space. It's capacity to deal with a lot of heavy things at the same time. Maybe for a lot of people, I think growing up in a big family, you're like, I got capacity for everybody,
I'm octopus arms over here, baby. We got it all.
What do you need?
Yeah. That one back there will get you.
Yeah. Hop on my back.
They are the smartest animal of the sea. I mean,
literally, we can handle a lot.
We got it.
But I think some people who have never had to deal with a lot of challenges in life, or haven't gone through a whole lot of things, or haven't had to fight back,
Right.
It's like, oh my gosh, life shows up and it's overwhelming.
Right.
Versus like, the quote about God gives his strongest, his toughest battles to the strongest soldiers. My back hurts.
Right.
My back hurts. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's like,
thank you for trusting me with all this.
Thank you for the trust. I really appreciate it.
But what do I need to learn so we can get out of this battle?
How do I get out of this battle?
Yeah.
But I look at that as like a blessing.
Yeah.
I would much rather be a gallon than, it's not that one's better than the other, but it's like to have the capacity to hold a lot.
Right.
Which also gives me the capacity to like pour back in a lot. And I think if anyone who knows me, they're like, Joy always has time for me. She always creates space. Like, she's my go-to, when life is going left and not right.
Yeah.
But it's also finding that same reciprocal energy that who's pouring into you.
Right.
And I feel like when I look around my friend circles these days, the people that I like genuinely want to be in my ether, it's like we all have a shared ethos of like, hey, like, this is not a what can I take? It's like, how can I support you? What do you have going on that I can show up for? And I think that's just maturity. As we get older, like, you realize that some people are really just along for the ride for what you can do for them. And I love the discernment, the awareness of saying like, hey, like, I want to be around people where it's a two-way street,
right?
Where there's reciprocity and effort that goes both ways. And I think sometimes you only land at that conclusion after you've been like, I'm tired of just constantly giving, and it's never like, you're making more deposits and everyone's making withdrawals, and you're like, there's emotional insufficient funds around here. And I got it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think it's a great way to look at life and saying, hey, like, I want to be that person who makes more deposits.
Right.
And then that when I need to take a withdrawal, like, I've made more deposits, so it's taking nothing. Like,
right.
Yeah.
And it all starts about how we start our day. I mean, at least like, because that's how you're executing the rest of your day.
Exactly. Do you have a morning routine?
I was about to say, what is your morning routine? I do. I mean, I get up at 4 a.m. It used to be, a lot of it was working out after the meditation, but right now it's more meditation, prayer, and God time.
Okay.
And then that's 4 to 5, and then 5 to 6 is when I want to fill that back to the working out. We sold the house. Our gym's not in the garage anymore.
Right.
We convert to commercial property. 3 kids now, not the 2. Like, there's a lot of changes in the last few years.
Right.
But regardless, if that 5 to 6 is making the 3 lunches, the 3 snacks, or if that is my 30-minute walk, or whatever that physical piece of it is.
Yeah.
But it has to start with my God time. I know I can't be as much as what God wants me to be without that. I just can't. I can't. I can't. I really, my day is off. My soul is off. My mind is off. My self-awareness to understand, okay, that's off. It's just, I have to be grounded there. And that's how I'm best able to execute everything with a more clear mind. Yeah.
Well, I think like if it sounds like, hey, if I'm not being intentional, then we're just chasing our tail for the rest of the day.
Right.
And then you're like, everything feels off.
Right.
Right. And I'm like, you got enough chaos that you're coordinating, whether it's kids or work or whatever you got going on. It's like, how can I have something that I can fall back on? Right. I think discipline is the root of all good qualities. You show me someone who's disciplined in one area and it typically shows up in other areas of their life. And I think some people thrive with accountability, got a whole crew where I'm like, hey, here's my receipts. Like I showed up for me,
Yeah.
showed up for you.
Right.
And how that ends up being just like a ripple effect. You'd be shocked how many people are like, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to get back into the gym, or I've been
Right.
wanting to, train for something, or just to get my mind back. I tell people that the gym for me is way more about my mental than it is
Ditto. Yeah.
about the size of the tag in my jeans. You know what I mean? Like, never cared about that. It's like, if I can keep a clear mind, it just allows me to like move through my day with ease and grace. That if that gets thrown off, then watch out. You're like
Yeah.
half the joy level of like, hey, do you wake up like this? I'm like, I created this. Like, this is something I
I
created.
found you find it. You got to find your grounding.
Yeah.
You got to find that routine. And also giving grace, because season changes, and so like I remember after we had Jai, surprise baby was one thing, but then you were taking a part of something that I had, E2M fitness
Figured out.
I was in a routine, couldn't tell me nothing. Like I was in such a groove.
Yeah.
And it was so powerful. And then when that's taken away, I got tied to a routine more than adjusting and having grace that it's going to look different in certain seasons. And so now it's like, I lost 13 pounds in 2 weeks. It was because dedication of eating right and doing my exercises that I could every single day. It
I was like, can you
wasn't,
write that routine down for the rest of us?
well, then I ate a piece of pizza at Disney and now I've got that plus 5. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Girl math.
But it's like, finding that grace to find it no matter what it looks like, knowing it can change. And that was something that I had to learn because my 45-minute 5 a.m. walk, is not the HIIT workout that I was used to, but it's something, what's your routine?
Pretty similar. Like I wake up early, my alarm goes off around like 5. Over the past year, I found a different gym. I realized that I've been doing so many things solo. Like, hey, I live alone, I work independently, been going to the gym like on my own. Got back from Morocco last April. My friend Meredith Dean was like, hey, come to Spanga with me. I'm like, what's Spanga? And it's like near my house, and it's like 20 minutes of spin, 20 minutes of strength, 20 minutes of yoga. Like, it's like the best hour of my life. Maybe it's a little spicy brain of mine to be like, by the time my brain's kind of done wanting to spin, I'm ready to lift heavy things and put them down. And by the time I'm really over that, then time just to like reset and be able to walk into my day with like such a different mindset.
Right.
I'm about to hit my 250th class on Wednesday.
Dang.
I think my first class was like the end of April last year. So just being dedicated to something that is going to pay you back. Like I've lived in chronic pain for the past decade. Like I've got degenerative arthritis that I thought was a stress fracture in my foot. Like, 26.
I remember we talked about that. And you're like, I'm still on my heels, honey.
I was like, what you're not going to do is steal my joy.
Right.
It's the one thing that brings me joy.
Right. Don't do it.
But just figuring out different ways of living that does extend the life of, working with what you got, and not making any complaints. Like, I've had people who, I've been sharing more about just like what it looks like to live in chronic pain, over the years. And they're like, Joy, if you would have never said anything, like, we would have never known.
Right.
You know what I mean? Choosing joy as resistance. It's kind of like literally the golden thread through a lot of things in my life where it's like, this is a choice, you know, like I can't imagine for some people who get to wake up and their default setting is like nothing. Versus your default setting being like, oh, what's my pain level today? But over the past year, like finding things that, whether it's supplements or, losing a few pounds to be like, hey, this is great for my joints. I was running a ton. Like, clearly that's not going to be the best thing for me. Taking other people's recommendations. Hey, come try this out. Like doing new things and realizing that, oh, I can do it different. And it isn't what I used to do, like, these HIIT workouts and, heavy hardcore stuff. You're like, well, no, I still do all those things. And even, at almost 37 years old, picking up weights that I had never touched, in high school or in college. Like, wow, those weights didn't get any less heavy. You just got a whole lot stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And that is kind of a little metaphor for life, like the ability to pick up heavy things and
Mm-hmm.
also to put them down.
Mm-hmm.
Big emotions, big feelings, heavy
Mm-hmm.
stuff you're walking around with for whether it's you or others. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, like I tell people all the time, like the gym for me is, it's therapy, but you can sometimes show up to hold on. Like there's some days I'm like, am I here to hold on or am I here to let go? And you only know by the time you're done, you're like, was I holding on or am I letting go of some things?
Mm-hmm.
By the time you leave, you're like, gosh, I'm in such a better place than I was
Isn't
before I
clarity
walked in.
beautiful? Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it's like you create it. It's like,
Right.
I don't feel the same when I'm just laying in bed and like an extra hour of, stressful sleep or rolling and tossing and turning, like doesn't make me feel better,
Mm-hmm.
but I think
Mm-hmm.
people don't realize the power that we have in motion.
Right.
Like we feel the
Right.
best in life just in general when we're making progress.
Right.
And so sometimes when I'm feeling like stuck, where I'm like, oh, I'm feeling some type of way, I'm like, I need to get up and move.
Right.
Like that's my
Right.
first like default, like,
Yeah.
Lord, cover this day. I've been doing something recently where I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, I can't wait to see all the good things that are gonna happen for me tomorrow. And then when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I cannot wait to see all the good things that are waiting for me today.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see, a great conversation or an unexpected
Right.
something rolls in,
Yeah.
I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I've been expecting you actually.
Right.
My sense of
I was waiting
expectation
for that first row
has
party.
never been
Yeah.
higher.
Yeah.
That time just catches up
Mm-hmm.
sometimes to the desires of our hearts, the things we're praying for, the things that we're standing in the evidence already of.
Mm-hmm.
One of my really good friends, LaDawn, we always, we have like we used to be every week, but now it's like once a month. We both have different job, like responsibilities and stuff, but we had a little war room on Fridays and being like, sometimes our prayer is, that my name would be spoken of highly in rooms that my feet are not in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never lost on me that when someone says, oh my gosh, someone gave me your name, or
Right.
your name came up and, fill in the blank, or
Right.
I've got a client who's looking for X, Y, and Z and your name popped up. And I'm like, interesting.
Right.
That sense of expectation has
Mm-hmm.
stayed high. And
Mm-hmm.
when I'm like, no, I've just been waiting I look for good things to find me. And
Yeah.
just like, it'd be so easy to look for all the negative things going on in
You don't
life
even got to look
because
on
you
it.
don't
You
have to look,
just
just
open
feel
yeah.
it. Just
Open yeah.
I gotta keep my eyes closed and be like, oh, I sense it.
Right.
But to be aware enough to say,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, like I'm looking for goodness.
Right.
I'm looking for favor. I'm looking for a great conversation or someone that I can help impact, in a
Mm-hmm.
positive way. So that when time catches up, it's never a surprise.
Right.
Nothing's
Right.
ever a surprise when I'm like, nah, I've been waiting for you.
Right.
And it just keeps me encouraged on tough days or days where you feel like you're on top of the world, where you're like, oh my gosh, like I've been waiting for good things to find me.
Right.
And when they do, it's always it just makes me like sit here and let's like a little party I'm having by myself where I'm like
You have no idea.
if you only knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, time, for
Right.
catching up.
No, I get to live through you being in rooms because obviously our lifestyle, no children versus 3
I
children.
love this journey for me.
I'm living through you. You are obviously at all the events. And of course, a lot of those are mental health geared. Why do you feel like that's so important, showing up at those events, whatever event it is? I mean, real estate events is one thing, but the ones that have a little bit, more of the human experience and the soul yearning.
Well, I feel like it's such a shared experience. Like if you get really real with people and they're like, hey, what's the biggest thing in your adult life that's been a challenge or something that you've had to overcome? I am always the first person to be like, my mental health, like, and I used to be like, oh, my name is Joy, so I can't have a bad day. And you're like, oh, no, no. You're like, that is a
That's a
terrible
false
way of, yeah, it's a
expectation.
false expectation.
Yeah. Set this expectation management correctly. I still am human.
I still am human. Let us
Yeah.
rock it. But I remember this is probably in 2015, 2016 when I hit the rock bottom. My little brother was still dancing for the New York City Ballet. When we call it like windshield time, like, hey, I'm in the car. He's like, I got sidewalk time. Like he's like walking, somewhere.
Right.
And I remember him asking me, he said, Joy, how do you know if someone needs to be encouraged? And I was like literally in bed, like, which I would do on my days off, just like just zero out for 2 days and
You're drained.
roll out of bed when I absolutely had to, like the last second, when it's back time to go to work. And he had called me and I was in bed and he was like, middle of the afternoon. It's like 2 o'clock. I'm like, still haven't gotten out of bed. And he said, Joy, how do you know if someone needs to be encouraged? And I said, how, like pregnant pause, like, do tell. And he said, if they're breathing. And that changed so much for me that day of saying, like, how do we know when someone needs to be encouraged? Like, if you're breathing, if I'm breathing, anyone you walk around, like, we all need to be encouraged. And so I think to be able to pour back into people, to have just real, honest, raw conversations, are like, how are you really doing?
Right.
Because I think what we all see is the glamorization of what social media will feed you and what looks perfect in these little squares online. And people are really struggling.
From us walking or talking or just being in the room, we are planting a seed. And whether it was that moment that it was, digested enough, or whether it's 3 years down the road and they come back to remember it and that's when they needed it the most.
Yeah. It's like, I have no idea what I told that friend that was like, if I didn't call you that day, like, I wouldn't be here. And it's like, we have that impact on people to say, hey, like, if you ever need me, you call me, like SOS, like, I will always make myself available. You were never a burden,
right?
Because I've needed that, like, lifeline to call. Who do I call when things get heavy? Like, yeah, I might be the strong friend for a lot of people, but I've got a lot of strong friends that I can lean on.
Right.
And I think that is more and more important now to, like, don't go at life alone. Like,
right. Find the community.
We all got too much going on, and the power of that we all have in community to say, hey, like, I'm not okay. Or to be like, hey, like, life is actually really good. Like, how can I encourage you with whatever you've got going on? It doesn't always have to be like, I'm looking at the lens of when people say like mental health, like, am I looking at mental wellness? Am I looking, or people looking at just mental illness or mental wellness? Like, it's all mental health. Like, if you had a heart problem or something else, like, you do something about it or talk about it or seek out some help. But I think anytime we talk about like our mental health, I'm like, no, like, how can I make it better? You know what I mean? It's not always like in a negative light of like, oh, you doing okay? Like, how you really doing? It's like, no, like life is actually like really well. I've found ways to manage my stress and to, cope with big feelings or have an outlet, or other people around me where I know that, like, I'm never going through anything by myself.
Right.
And it's okay to talk about.
And I mean, and it's right there, plain and simple in words, renew your mind every day. And I don't think just that one small line people do enough, because if we were able to reset our mind and truly hone in on that, the power and direction of our life every day would be just a little bit better, or a little bit different, or a little bit more attraction. And whether that's a conversation or Joy knew someone that I needed and she just connected me out of thin air.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, baby, it's being open enough to accept community, and lay your pride down to let you open yourself up.
Well, it's like most people probably would say, and we've all been guilty of, when am I giving time to think about what I think about?
Right.
Am I erring towards like things that are more negative? Am I focused on the goodness that's already around me? Like, what am I thinking about? And how can I renew my mind if I'm not thinking about what I'm thinking about?
Right.
Sometimes it's a conscious thought of,
it is every second.
Your mind will literally just, there's studies that are like, yeah, the mass majority of the things we think about are negative. And sometimes it's like, I can take those thoughts captive and say, no, I can make a different thought. I could think a different thought. I can turn a different direction. I could use the information that I had and make a different choice.
It's self-awareness all day. Because, like, you don't do it once and like, oh, we're going to have a fantastic day today.
And I'm not like...
And then you go out the road and you're like, somebody just flipped you off. And you're like, I didn't even do anything. And you're flipping me off. And, like, do I react? Or let's reset the mind. Let's renew that part.
Do not run them back off the road.
Yeah.
Do not do that. That would not be good.
I'll give you that first chance, but I don't know if I got the second one.
Come for me again. Yeah. Come for me again. But sometimes it is making that conscious, like, mindset shift. And it's not like, hey, like, I'm Pollyanna and only see rainbows and sunshine. Like, I'm very much like a realist, but at the same time, I know the power of our thoughts. I know the power of our words and the power of our actions, and how all those things are like in line with each other. Like, hey, if I think a different thought, if I speak a different word, how that can,
Yeah.
bless or break down somebody
Yep.
else. And then like, what do I do moving forward to say, hey, like, I'm so grateful that I'm capable of making a different thought
Yeah.
or making a different decision or going about it a different way. And then you're like,
Right.
okay, well, the next time this pops back up, like, I can also choose different. I can also speak different. I can
Right.
also do different. And hopefully for the better.
That's so good. I mean, it is. Mental health is real. And I know that you're, always at all these events. And you're always, swagged out with a different vibe, always colorful. Do you feel like your fashion is a part of your identity as far as like what you want to express out there?
I saw a quote, I don't know who said it, but it's like, dress for the joy you want. Like there's some days, I actually did, uh,
And what are we wearing today, girl? Let's go
it's
ahead.
like just the silks, the finest.
The finest of fine.
Funny story. I really don't shop, which people would be shocked by. I mean, yeah, here and there, but I've done like Rent the Runway, Newly, being like, hey, like I'm not tied to clothes and I always want something different, And I remember when I first got in this business, like, oh, I always have to be dressed to the nines. And that was the kind of the expectation of, going to events and whatever. And I'm like, one, it's hard enough to shop while tall. Shopping while tall is atrocious. No one tells you.
What you don't
Have you seen
understand.
this inseam? Where are you gonna find that in store? Nowhere.
Right.
And then it was like I was spending my life savings, like, or in a dressing room somewhere trying to try on clothes for whatever, event might pop up. And I'm like, this is insane. Like, I love the thrill of having new things, but I don't
Yeah.
like the financial guilt of constantly having new things. And it's not like new things, it's like designer things. I'm like, I want to have a revolving designer closet. I tell
Right.
everyone it's the best girlfriend hack.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, if you're buying a new outfit for every little occasion, then I'm so sorry to inform you that if I walked into an event and I was like, dang, Shana, you look good today. My first thought, or like, do you own those jeans?
Yeah.
No, I would never think that. You're like, do I own these Ted Baker pants that I popped the tag off for like $600 today?
Yeah.
Nope.
Right.
You
I'm
know,
gonna use them a few times and send
I'm,
them right
I'm gonna
back.
wear this for a couple times. I'm gonna send it back. I'm gonna get something new.
Right.
So I
Right.
always have something new in my closet, but it literally is like, okay, well, that was fun. Next. That was fun. Next.
Well, how
That's
do you explain style and fashion?
Oh my gosh. I think it's a personal expression. Like
Which one though? Because it's two different
Ooh,
words.
it is.
Yeah.
Style. I would say style would be how you put something together. Like fashion is kind of like how you express it through like, hey, might have the same pieces, but you throw on a couple other pieces and then you're like, and now it's not just the piece, it's styled, and I think you put that together and you're like, oh, she's fashionable.
Right.
I actually did a color analysis with my friend Leah recently. I didn't even know about this. You heard of this? Where it's like she drapes these different colors like over you and kind of pulls out like your undertones and the colors that really like brighten you up. And I'm like, so I was at this Valentine's Day event at Wake Coffee Co. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a spring. Everybody else was like a fall or like a
Right.
winter, and I was the only spring. And then maybe like maybe two of us ended up with these like bright colors, your yellows, your greens, your purples, like, and I've been leaning so hardcore into like my color analysis where I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like I feel intrinsically happier when I'm wearing brighter colors. Like
That's awesome.
I love black, but
Yeah.
apparently like navy looks better on me.
Let's stick to the color.
Golds versus silvers. I had my nail girl give me these pastel
Lavender.
nails, and I was like,
Yes.
I've never done a purple nail. I feel like a dainty Easter egg.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
But just figuring out the things that like work best for you.
Yeah.
And not care what anybody else thinks about it. Like
Right.
I love mixing patterns and prints. Like hello. And the way that you can put random things together, I'm like, put it all
See how
together.
neutral I came, girl? I was like, I ain't clashing with Joy. I don't know what she coming in, but she coming in something. Okay.
She's like, and I feel
I'm
like
gonna
it's gonna be, I feel like it's gonna be bright and
I was
light.
like, let me throw my little hat on.
Yes. But have fun.
Yeah.
Like I used to think in college, when people talk about like what it looks like to be a professional, like I need to wear like, like nude nails and a pencil skirt with like pantyhose for people to take you seriously. You know, I think what the world needs is people who are showing up exactly as who they are that complements them the best. And then you just show up the brightest and, most vibrant version of yourself. One of my
Right.
friends was like, Joy, if I were to describe you, I would say you're naturally effervescent, and I was like, what a great view of things, to say, hey, like, if I'm wearing yellow, I'm not trying to blend in, if I'm wearing something crazy because I feel like amazing in it, like, I know my day's gonna be great
Right.
and sometimes I do dress for the joy that I want to feel. Like maybe you're not feeling like great, but I'm like, well, if I wear some bright colors today, it's almost like color theory is real, where it's not just what you wear for yourself, but how other people receive you. You'd be shocked. You'd go to the grocery store and people are like, oh my gosh, like you were so bright and light, and I needed that today. Before you even open your mouth, you're like,
It's Coach Primetime. He said, you look good, you feel good, you play good, they pay good. And
are you
it's
serious?
spot
I
on.
literally just told someone that who complimented my outfit over the weekend. I said, in the words of Deion Sanders,
Baby, Coach Prime, get about here.
This literally happened over the weekend. I said, Deion Sanders used to say, when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you play well. When you play well, they pay well.
Yeah. It's spot on though, because if you come out bummy and you ain't really feeling it, you already putting your energy. You ain't feeling it.
And you never know who you're gonna run into.
No.
I mean, I don't dress for. I'm like, I like to dress for myself, but it's like, you really never know who you might run into,
Right.
who you can brighten up their day just because you passed by
And had yellow pants on.
and had yellow pants on today.
Yes.
Just because it's like, why not? It's Monday. Let's just rock some yellow pants.
That looks incredible.
But I think for those who are like, oh, I don't want to be too much.
Right.
I'm 6'1", flat-footed. I've always been
6'1",
too much for some, but I'm like
standing out with or without the heels. We might as well look a little higher, if you will.
I was like, I'm trying to look otherworldly at all times. Like, what universe did she fall from? Right. Did she eat from the tall trees? So I have found that like fashion for me has always been a struggle. One, growing up like super broke was like, hey, I was shopping at Goodwill before it was like cool and trendy, finding pieces that nobody else would have, putting things together that were like, oh, you're not going to find that at the mall.
Yep.
Just out of necessity.
Yeah.
And now it's just kind of like, oh, how can I find, fun pieces to put together that I'm not going broke trying to impress strangers on the internet. You know what I mean? To always have something new to wear. And I'm like, hey, I will give you all of my girlfriend secrets because we don't gatekeep around here. And not in 2026.
Not 2026, baby.
Not ever, actually.
Right. We trying to see everybody come up. Okay. Right. That's the difference.
Right. Yeah. On my Rent the Runway app, it like has been keeping track since I think 2020, but I've been doing this since like 2016 or 17 when my sister told me about it originally. But it keeps track of like, hey, if you would have purchased all the things you've rented only since 2020, I think I just hit like $400,000. Could have bought a little something for what people would be spending on clothes in the past, 6 years.
Yeah.
Why? That just makes no sense to me. So I'm like, we're trying to be financially smart girlies. We want to look great, but I don't want to go broke in the process.
Right. Making smart investments.
Making better moves. And it's like environmentally friendly,
Yeah.
like reduce, reuse, recycle.
Right.
I just shop by new arrivals, so everything comes with a tag on it. And I'm like, why not? Who doesn't want to wear a $700 dress on a random Wednesday?
Now, what does that break down? Like if you wear it one time, you send it back, you bought it for $700, you get like $550 back?
No, you don't buy it, you rent it.
So what, I mean...
So it literally is like, hey, how can I have multiple, like a revolving designer closet of like things that are, I popped the tag off this shirt and it was like, I would never spend $500 on this shirt. No, I would not.
No.
And I would not spend $600 on these pants, but they look cool together and I will wear them, maybe a couple times and then whoop, off you go. And I'm going to pick out something else new that feels like I'm shopping online. Like like my old self being like, I probably shouldn't be doing this, but I'm totally shopping online,
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then you're going to get the bill for it. And then be like, man, I'm only going to wear that one time.
Right.
The cost per wear of that thing makes no sense.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, some things gotta.
So you're like, hey, we're going to wear this a couple times and then never to be seen again. So you're like, have I ever seen you in the same thing twice? Probably not. And let me tell you how.
Well, and for me, like I'm always switching it up. Like you're not going to see me.
Might try a different style. And you're like, one day she's boho, and the next day she's, you know,
Got the cowboy
business.
boots. No, I'm just kidding. Like a blazer, and I had a blazer on, and I'm like, I just totally made that like a business meeting, and I'm like, ew, take it off. But for another day, it'll be another day.
Change up.
Yeah.
And like we all, like when it comes to like style and fashion, I'm like, we can all change our minds.
Yeah.
You know, I think some people like pigeonhole themselves and be like, this is my one vibe.
Right.
You know, I'm like, I could be like 12 different personalities and 12 different styles in the same month just because I can try new things without the guilt of trying new things.
Right.
You know, and then you're like just being, you're like girl math.
Yeah.
The girl math is always like, well,
It's clicking.
if I get a bazillion new things that I don't have to feel bad about, and then I can get more new things, and it's just a line item in your budget, then you're like, I love this life.
I love this.
I wish we had this like years and years ago when it wasn't
Yeah.
something that was like new and it wasn't just for like a formal dress or something.
Right.
You know, I think people think a lot of these, you know, hey, I'm gonna rent a dress for a gala or something, but it's like this is like everyday wear,
Right.
and our mind is not like, hey, I love your outfit, and do you own those pants or that top? You're like, no, you just look great. So
So what is a couple of practical takeaways for the audience that they can take, whether that's for mental health, whether that's to choose joy, just some practical steps for some takeaways for them?
I would just say the biggest thing would be just to lean in. I think to know who you are and to know who you're not are very valuable pieces of information, you know, whether it's expectations from other people, how you're perceived, you know, everyone's like, oh, perception's reality. But I would say just lean into the things that you are gifted in. You know, people talk about like our gifts are the things we do the very best with the least amount of effort. Like to know what those things are. To me, it's always been connecting with strangers. You know, I could meet someone one time and be like, I feel like I've known you my whole life.
Right.
Like, I want to know all the things. Just
Right.
like staying
Tell me your story.
passionately curious about people, which I've learned that my mom's like, you're in the perfect line of work. Every day I get to meet new people, have new conversations. You know, where it feels as effortless as breathing when you're like, I love creating rapport with people. And it's not because like it's a skill that I learned, you know, that's just a natural something that I can
That's who you
I can
are.
walk in any room and find a new friend. You know, it's like Joy the friend collector.
Right.
Some people collect shoes or witty mugs. I think you collect friends.
Right.
I was like, I think you're right.
Right.
But I think life is too short not to have as much fun as possible, whether it's how you want to show up in your personal fashion, whether it is taking inventory of your mental space and to know like when you're not okay, who to reach out to, who are the people that you trust, to do things that light you up. I think that's the thing that I've been really leaning in towards myself is saying, hey, like, what are the things that light me up right now? You know, we're not just here to pay bills and die, you know? I think a lot of people feel stuck in that cycle right now of like, oh, I just go to work and I come home and I go to work and I come home and I pay my bills when, didn't I just pay you like a few days ago? Now you want more money again?
Right.
And to be like, are you having fun? You know, what are you prioritizing when it comes to like having some fun in life? Because we don't get more time, and I don't want to look back and be like, wow, I just worked a lot and didn't enjoy any of it. So,
enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy.
All right, a quick this or that or rapid fire.
I love a rapid fire.
All right, so no thinking about it. You just got to choose one, okay? All right. Peace or joy?
Ooh, can I have both?
You know,
joy every time.
Life is nuanced. It can be and or, but
I'm very much I want both.
I want both.
Joy every time.
All right. Brunch or dinner?
Brunch.
Give your energy or protect it?
Protect it.
Heels or?
Is there another option?
Next. I know.
Higher.
Sneakers. Stilettos or the wedges? I don't know. Show early or a fashionable late moment?
Oh, fashionably late.
Last minute plans or nope, I'm staying in.
Last minute plans.
Hike or a gym?
Gym.
Awesome. Oh, so good, sis. Always such a pleasure just to be around you.
We can sit here and talk for hours.
We just, no matter how long, it's just like we get together and we connect. Yeah, it's a spiritual connection that's, you know, it's a blessing to just be able to share some time with you. And I thank you for pouring into people. And I know your words and things that, you know, that has touched and impacted you will touch people. So make sure you subscribe, you come for the conversation, but you stay for the transformation. That's what I want this whole podcast to be. Everybody is just pouring into others and couldn't do it without you being here today. So
better together.
Better together, baby.
And keep choosing joy.
Yeah,
as
and
resistance.
you see, keep choosing. Keep.
Joy as the resistance.
And make sure you go by, in Midtown to find, see that.
Plaza Midwood.
Plaza Midwood, I
Sip
mean.
City.
Yeah. Sip City. There you go, baby.
Love it. I hope you have the best day of your life.
Yeah, ditto. Baby, we attracting good around here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Wow.
Yes.